Howdy mates. There's just a short snippet for Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. I have begun another little adventure in the midst of what has happened within the past few weeks. I figured I'd take a little hiatus from life at the moment. But where I am, you may be able to recognize right away. Welcome to the famous Bonneville Salt Flats in western Utah, near the Nevada border. The Bonneville Salt Flats is indeed in its name. Most of the landscape here is primarily composed of table salt, also known as sodium chloride, NaCl. And basically how it formed was, of course, in this area we have the Great Salt Lake that still has water, but it has a very high salinity, which means there's a lot of salt dissolved within the water itself, even more than the Atlantic Ocean, for example, in terms of concentration. Basically, why it's called Bonneville in particular is you have the Great Salt Lake, but at one point there was Bonneville Lake, which was even twice or even 3 times larger than the current Great Salt Lake. And essentially how this landscape came to exist was evaporation was happening quicker than precipitation. And therefore, that is really how we have this landscape. You have to think at one point, what we're standing on was once at the bottom of a lake. That's why it's actually still a little muddy, as you can tell. But aside from the natural history, there's also a bit of a pop culture / history reference. Just right here, you see that little ridge? That's actually a road. That's, as a matter of fact, a raceway. That is the Salt Flats Raceway International. And there's actually a really good movie that depicts the life of Burt Munro, who used Indian motorcycles that were specifically specialized for just flat runways. And Burt Munro, he came all the way from New Zealand. This took place back in the 1960s. And he set the record for top speed, which was like over 200 miles an hour. And that was way back in the 60s. But then a movie called The World's Fastest Indian depicts that very event. And actually, a known actor, Anthony Hopkins, he plays as Burt Munro. And you have to think this was basically where it was filmed. It's pretty darn cool to actually witness it. Even though I've been in Utah, I've just never had the chance to go this far west, near the Nevada border. Alright, you guys, take care. Have a good one during another journey. As onwards. See you later.